Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink, it is time for some PathOfExile discussion. Grinding Games today put out patch 3.21.0 B for Bravo. Although it's a small patch, it has quite a lot in it that's going to make some significant changes to how the league mechanic feels. Most notably, Crucible monsters now have much less damage reduction, except if you throw down the gauntlet and channel the encounter to maximum difficulty. Now this is really noticeable already. I don't know what the numbers were, I don't know what they are now, but these monsters are much less tanky than they were before. Additionally, Crucible monsters have had their life nerfed at all levels, but most significantly this has been done in parts 2 of the campaign, so Acts 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and in low tier maps. That's where they've been nerfed the most, but they have been nerfed everywhere. Crucible bosses have had an additional nerf on top of this. One of the problems GGG find themselves in is that with everyone being incentivized by the current state of the game to push to tier 16 maps and stay there quite quickly in a league, this creates a real balancing nightmare for them. Characters that are just starting tier 16 maps might have 150,000 DPS. Characters that have been in tier 16 maps for a while might have 8 million DPS. You simply cannot design an encounter to be engaging to both categories. GGG at launch decided to go, alright, we are going to design these encounters, at least in high tier maps, so that there's something for players to aspire towards improving their character to be able to beat at all, and then that led to players not even attempting them because they just felt so overwhelming. I really think this is a long-term problem GGG need to find a solution to, and I think that the best solution is trying to find a way to not have everyone in the same tier and not have everyone in high tiers as quickly in the league as they are now. That's going to be a very difficult problem to figure out how to solve because everyone is so used to rushing to the top tiers now. Anyways, general points about PathOfExile aside, they are nerfing the life on these monsters at all levels and by a considerable amount in the middle of the game. The amount of Crucible passive tree experience that you gain from encounters is being increased, and this is actually being increased more for encounters that are not fully channeled. I think the rationale here is that players were feeling like it wasn't worth doing encounters when you weren't fully channeling, and they want to make it clear that if you're not yet ready to do them 100% channeled, then you can consider doing them at 60% or at 70% or at 80% or so, and try and get your character more powerful that way. Now, one other thing with the Crucible encounters is that the whole channeling mechanic is just a complete mess at the moment. The whole problem is that you stand there, you don't have any clear feedback as to how much you've channeled the encounter. So you don't know whether you're at 50% channeled or at 70% channeled. You've only got this experience bar that's really difficult to read, especially given that it fills up at a different rate depending on the item level of the item that you've got in and how many Crucible points it's already got, and all sorts of other factors, some of which we probably don't even know as yet. This means that it is very difficult to consistently say, oh, okay, I know I can handle 40% on this, I'm not sure I can handle 60%, I'll go for 40% on any map mods, I'll go for 60% if the map mods are easier than most of the ones I'm doing, and I'll go for 80% when I'm bringing my A game and I'm really focused. That would be a far better system, but at the moment, it's more like you're trying to go for 50%, you accidentally over channel to 60 or you accidentally under channel to 40, and you don't really know what's going on. I really think GGG should scrap the current UI for Crucible and make it so that you just choose between 20, 40, 60, 80 or 100%. Take away the very fine gradation that's possible at the moment and just make it something that's more coarse and much easier to see what you're up to. Additionally, one of the most frustrating things about the current setup is when you start channeling an encounter and then a monster wanders in from off screen and starts attacking you. And most of the things that you could do to address that end up bricking your current Crucible encounter. This is really unsatisfying and just I think this mechanic needs to change. Igneous Geodes are going to drop more than they do now and will also drop more frequently from lower tier Crucible monsters. Note that they do have a bias towards dropping more in high tier maps and their drop chance is affected by item quantity. Additionally, and this one's really important although it doesn't seem like it, there is now a Crucible item filter on the PathOfExile trade website. This is extremely important because some of the workarounds people were using to find unique items that had a Crucible tree without any concern about what the contents of that Crucible tree were. These workarounds were causing serious slowdown on the actual PathOfExile trade website. This is now fixed, and so we won't have those workarounds being used as widely. If you are still using one of the workarounds, please stop using it. It is just slowing down the trade website for you and for everyone else. Finally, there's a couple other little changes. There was a serious bug in the Olroth encounter that is now fixed, and the annoying Kirac's Vault nagging notifications are now right-clickable to dismiss. These will return under various circumstances, but right-clicking them is a good way to just say, yep, not interested in doing this now, maybe at some point later. There have been some major changes to the way Kirac's Vault works. It now has both a free version that everyone gets, and that gives you things that are actual in-game power. Things like Horizon Orbs, Polished Scarabs, and Unique Maps. And then there is the paid version, which is purely cosmetic. Kirac's Vault has also been made cheaper. It's now 300 points instead of 30 USD. The minimum you need to pay if you want to get it is still going to be 30 USD, but it will come with other things as well. Finally, there was an earlier hotfix, Hotfix 9, which had a couple of little changes, mostly to some bug involving Ignite. These are now fixed. Ignite now works properly, whereas previously there were some bugs that were mostly making characters less powerful than intended. Those have been fixed. So that's what we're seeing in terms of changes that have been made already on day 4 of Crucible. I'm going to leave it there. May your Varlorbs have interesting results.